4 minutes and 32 seconds. That is the gap between Tadej Pogacar and the best rider anyone can send against him, halfway through the 2026 Tour de France. The Alps are still ahead. Vingegaard is already out. Broken collarbone, stage 15. Evenepoel sits 4.5 minutes back with no answer. And third overall, Isaac Del Toro. Pogacar's own teammate. Every tactic tried against this man has failed, every defensive plan dismantled. The question the sport cannot escape is no longer who wins the Tour, but whether the science behind this dominance has made him genuinely unbeatable. Today, Pogacar holds a commanding lead of 4 minutes and 32 seconds over Remco Evenepoel. Behind them, Mexican prodigy Isaac Del Toro sits in third, wearing the young rider white jersey as Pogacar's own teammate. The collapse of the established order is absolute. Jonas Vingegaard, the only rival to consistently match Pogacar in the high mountains, is out of the race, having abandoned after a fractured collarbone on stage 50. The remaining peloton is no longer just racing for the podium. They are analysing these gaps as evidence, looking for any physical limit or tactical crack. This leaderboard is not a final verdict, but a high-stakes puzzle. With the brutal Alpine trilogy ahead, the sport is watching these standings to understand if a human response to this dominance even exists. The real test begins in the high-altitude wall of the Alps, starting on stage 18. In Grand Tour racing, paper advantages can vanish the moment the road points upward for hours on end. This upcoming Alpine block presents 3 consecutive days of severe climbing, culminating in stage 20's 5,450 vertical meters of ascent. This final mountain trilogy sends the peloton over giant passes, the Croix de Fer, the Galibier, and finishes on Alpe d'Huez. On these long gradients, isolated leaders face tactical danger. Cumulative fatigue turns minor physical limits into massive time losses, and team positioning becomes the ultimate shield. This is where weak points are exposed. Rivals know that Tadej Pogacar has shown vulnerability on climbs exceeding 30 kilometers, and they will use these endless slopes to test his defense. The current lead is substantial, but the race is only decided when the highest peaks have had their say. Most modern Grand Tour champions win by subtraction. They rely on defensive pacing, waiting for the final kilometers of a summit finish to slowly grind down their opponents. Tadej Pogacar does the exact opposite. He dismantles the race before it has a chance to settle. On stage 14, on the steep ramps of the Col du Hague, he did not wait for the final sprint. While rivals like Remco Evenepoel tried to conserve energy, Pogacar launched a massive 450-watt solo attack 2 kilometers from the summit. This is a calculated, repeatable pattern designed to break his rival's rhythm long before the finish line. By attacking early on severe gradients, Pogacar forces competitors to make a brutal decision: match his explosive acceleration and risk blowing up, or let him ride away. This aggressive style permanently alters the geometry of the race, winning the day before the science of his recovery even has to save him. Rivals usually respond to attacks by doing one thing: following the wheel. In modern cycling, this is the default defensive play. But against Tadej Pogacar, matching his acceleration is a tactical dead end. When he moves, he forces immediate, high-stress decisions under extreme physical fatigue. Following him requires an instant spike in power that disrupts a rider's steady-state pacing. This constant fluctuation drains physical reserves and inflicts a heavy psychological toll. Defensive plans rely on predictability, but he systematically converts structured team pacing into chaotic, uncontrolled survival. Rivals like Remco Evenepoel find themselves reacting to his schedule rather than executing their own structured power strategies. This constant state of crisis management causes hesitation, destroys team cohesion, and forces competitors to exhaust themselves just to stay in the game. The puzzle extends far beyond matching a single acceleration. Rivals face a compounding deficit where tactical failure and physiological exhaustion collide. When the road rises, the draft disappears, and the battle belongs entirely to gravity and oxygen. Look at his aerobic ceiling. Physiologists point to his estimated VO2 max, the maximum volume of oxygen his body can use during intense effort. Public performance models estimate this number is between 90 and 96 milliliters per kilogram per minute. If these calculations are correct, they place him at the absolute limit of recorded human endurance. On the steepest gradients, this massive oxygen intake translates directly into relentless mechanical force. During his historic ride up the Plateau de Bale, reconstructed power models show he sustained an estimated 442 watts for nearly 40 minutes. At his 64-kilogram race weight, that is a staggering 6.85 watts per kilogram. This sustained output explains the physical reality of his attacks. While other riders can match his initial acceleration by burning through their anaerobic reserves, they quickly hit a metabolic wall. Pogacar does not. His system processes energy so efficiently that he can launch a violent attack, create a gap, and instantly settle back into a devastating tempo that his exhausted competitors simply cannot sustain. This is a physiological reality that redefines what is possible on a bicycle. Winning a single stage of the Tour de France requires peak performance, but winning a 3-week Grand Tour is a battle against systemic decay. In this environment, recovery is the ultimate currency. While rivals suffer from compounding fatigue, Tadej Pogacar relies on an elite physiological defense system. His advantage lies less in his maximum effort, and more in how rapidly his body cleans up metabolic wreckage. Internal tracking from UAE Team Emirates XRG, led by coach Javier Sola, shows a 4-second improvement in his lactate clearance times, alongside a 12% reduction in overnight heart rate variability variance. This heart rate variability, or HRVI, is not a magic answer. It is an informative clue. It reveals an autonomic nervous system that quickly resets from fight or flight survival back to absolute rest. When Remco Evenepoel and other competitors wake up with lingering muscle damage, Pogacar's biomarkers reflect a rapid return to baseline readiness. He does not win by avoiding exhaustion. He wins because he is dangerous again tomorrow. On a stationary laboratory trainer, a high power output is just a number. On the alpine slopes, it is a weapon of attrition. The same average wattage that looks manageable on a training file becomes devastating when deployed as a tactical weapon. Winning Grand Tours depends on the distribution of force rather than maximum effort alone. While other elite climbers must carefully meter their pacing to avoid exhausting their reserves, Tadej Pogacar can repeatedly ride deep into the red, recover while maintaining a high tempo, and then launch another attack. This ability to surge above threshold and rapidly reset is what turns physical data into physical separation. When the road rises, a rival like Remco Evenepoel might possess a similar steady-state climbing power, but matching Pogacar's repeated accelerations forces an opponent's system to burn through glycogen. Once a competitor is pushed past their metabolic limit, their climbing efficiency collapses. A 10-second gap on a steep gradient quickly balloons into minutes on the road. Lab-tested physiological superiority ultimately matters because it translates directly into actual time, leaving his competitors fighting a battle of physics they are biologically unequipped to win. In 2022, the organization hired coach and nutritionist Javier Sola, moving away from traditional ad hoc cycling diets to build a highly structured performance system. Sola introduced individual macronutrient targets and a custom fructose maltodextrin carbohydrate blend designed to optimize gut absorption during extreme efforts. Every gram of food is matched to real-time power metrics and overnight physiological trends. This preparation is organized around 3 annual altitude camps: the 2,500-meter Alps camp in July, the 2,800-meter Andes camp in February, and the 2,300-meter Atlas camp in October. Under hypoxic conditions, Sola adjusts the rider's carbohydrate and electrolyte intake to counteract fluid loss and fuel depletion. At night, wrist-based sensors feed a proprietary database overseen by team specialists to track systemic stress. This is not accidental rest, it is engineered recovery designed to prevent systemic decay. According to team performance reports, this integrated system yielded a 12% reduction in overnight heart rate variability variance and a 4-second improvement in lactate clearance times. Talent alone does not explain how Tadej Pogacar outlasts his rivals. The team operates as a unified performance system rather than just a race squad, creating an environment that ensures the yellow jersey starts every single stage fully restored. This physical preparation relies on an unmatched financial and tactical engine. Under team principal Mauro Gianetti and sports director Maxin, UAE Team Emirates XRG operates with a budget backed by sovereign wealth and multi-million euro partnerships. This capital converts directly into tactical control. Before Tadej Pogacar ever faces a final climb, riders like Adam Yates and Mexican prodigy Isaac Del Toro have already spent hours sheltering him from the wind, neutralizing breakaway threats, and dictating a relentless pace that drains his rivals. The machinery itself is engineered for execution, not exhibition. Pogacar rides a Colnago frame equipped with carbon components from NV Composites and a precise SRM power meter. These are not mere sponsorship badges, they are performance tools that save precious watts over 3 weeks of racing. Combined with his estimated €8 million annual salary, this financial backing ensures that every marginal gain, from custom-time trial cockpits to advanced carbon wheels, is fully repeatable. This structural depth leaves rivals isolated and exhausted. But while this multi-million-dollar apparatus manages the physics of the race, it still requires a human engine to exploit the advantage. The machine is built to deliver him to the base of the mountain, but the final, devastating blow must still come from the rider himself. Long before Tadej Pogacar was backed by a multi-million euro performance engine, his relationship with the bicycle was defined by the rolling hills of Komenda, Slovenia. As a boy riding along the Ljubljana-Kranj corridor, hills were not calculations or tactical zones, they were playgrounds. His parents recall a child who would sprint up steep climbs just for the joy of it, establishing his trademark attack-first instinct long before anyone monitored his power files. This playground mentality forms the foundation of his racing identity. While modern cycling demands clinical precision, Pogacar relies on an uncalculated, almost playful confidence. His emotional stability is grounded by a quiet private life with his partner, professional cyclist Orszka Zsigart, away from the chaos of celebrity. He remains a self-described ordinary guy who rides on pure instinct. The unmatched racing machine is ultimately driven by a boy who still climbs simply to see what lies over the crest. That childhood play quickly translated into competitive results. Tadej Pogacar won the Tour de l'Avenir in 2018, securing back-to-back Tour de France victories soon after in 2020 and 2021. He went on to dominate the sport's monument classics, taking victories at Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Strade Bianche, the Tour of Flanders, and Il Lombardia alongside an Olympic bronze medal. But his fast rise faced a sudden check. At the 2022 Tour on the brutal slopes of the Col du Grand Homme, Jonas Vingegaard broke him, exposing a vulnerability in his high-altitude fueling. A fractured wrist at Liège in 2023 threatened his progress even further. Rather than yield to these setbacks, Pogacar adapted. Partnering with performance coach Javi Solar, he overhauled his nutrition and muscular strength. This preparation enabled his historic 2024 Triple Crown, where he won the Giro d'Italia, the Tour and the World Championship in a single calendar year. These defeats did not halt his career, they forced the creation of a more calculated, efficient racer, fueling his 2025 dominance and his 2026 Tour campaign. Extreme dominance inevitably attracts intense scrutiny. In the modern peloton, this translates to an anti-doping architecture stricter than any previous era. During the 2026 Tour, officials conducted random, court-authorized nighttime tests, awakening Tadej Pogacar at 5 in the morning and Jonas Vingegaard at 2. While Remco Evenepoel criticized the timing as disruptive to recovery, team managers like Jonathan Vaughters defended the protocol, stating that high-frequency off-hour testing is necessary to protect the credibility of the sport. On platforms like Reddit and X, fans endlessly debate this balance between performance and policing. Yet the chase pack remains focused on finding a sporting answer. While Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert match him in the one-day classics, only Evenepoel's time trial speed and the steady development of teammate Isaac Del Toro pose immediate threats to his 3-week supremacy. With 5 Tour victories now within reach, the cycling world is watching to see what limits remain. The historic record of Eddy Merckx stands as the ultimate target. To match it, Pogacar must continue to sweep the sport's greatest prizes, from the cobbles of Paris-Roubaix to the high mountain passes of the Vuelta a España. Whether his multi-million-euro support system at UAE Team Emirates XRG can maintain this physical block remains the sport's defining question. We are no longer just watching a champion, we are witnessing the outer limits of human endurance being rewritten. The true question is not who can beat Tadej Pogacar, it is whether the sport can adapt to the standard he demands. The future of cycling is already here, and it is relentless. What do you think? Share your thoughts below.